All right, welcome back to the QPR view. We're going to be discussing that result at Hillsborough and what Marty Cifuentes will have learnt from that result. And we're also going to preview, of course, the Christmas fixtures and have a look at the Southampton game to come. Of course, with Jawad. How are you, Jawad?
Yeah, the optimism can quickly disappear, can't it? It's not been a good week. It's not been a good week at all.
No. Did Sheffield Wednesday want that more in certainly the last 20 minutes anyway?
Second half, 100%. I think we're learning a lot about the manager. He likes to tinker, which when you've not got a squad with much depth, is a risky business. And I think against Preston earlier at the beginning of the month, it worked when he brought on Chair at halftime, but you're not bringing on that quality at the moment. So, yeah, it's been a tough week.
Leggy was the word I saw used a lot to describe that second half. Are QPR tired? If you haven't got the same squad sizes, the depths as others, are there players there that desperately need a rest, but he just can't?
No, because he has rotated in the last few weeks. The only player I think that's played every week is Sam Field, who's probably coming in for the most stick at the moment, I'd say. Everyone else has had a rest. He's rotated his centre-backs, the full-backs have rotated each week. Willock was rested in the first half yesterday. Dykes was rested in the first half yesterday. So I don't think it's that. I just think if the first 11 are fit, I think he has to stick with that first. Yeah.
What do you think his takeaway from that game was? What has he learned about his team watching that game at Hillsborough?
I think traits that we've seen over the last 2 years came into play. The players panicking a bit when the pressure was on, sitting deep. And I think when you've been as bad as we have for pretty much 2 years, really, since the end of Warburton's reign, bar a little period under Beale, I think we had got fooled into thinking that he had waved a magic wand and the kind of squad had suddenly become something that was going to go on a good run and finish in mid-table. But it's definitely not that simple. I think he's probably realised that January can't come soon enough, and I think they need to get the business done really, really early in January too.
Yeah. The last team that you probably want to play then this weekend is a Southampton team, which are just on an incredibly unbeaten run. So I'm going to show you the team which lost to Southampton when you went to St Mary's in August. Just walk me through how many of these you can honestly say have had a good season so far.
In all honesty, that was probably one of our stronger performances of the season. I would argue that we deserved a point. Possibly on another day could have got 3 points. And I would say I came away from that thinking again under Ainsworth that maybe we had turned a corner, and then it obviously went downhill completely. I would say Morgan Fox hasn't been fit pretty much since that game, actually. And again, not the most spectacular player, but he's quite a solid championship player. We've missed him, I think. Colback's been out for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Paul Smith's got pace, can't really finish, hasn't got a final ball. And after the Plymouth game in the week, actually, I said our central midfield for me is probably the area that he needs to strengthen the most in January. We've got players, someone who can tackle, someone who can pass, but we just need an all-round midfielder. But yeah, after that performance, I genuinely thought, yep, we've turned a corner. We're going to be all right this season.
Yeah, and you were playing Southampton at the start of the season, weren't you? Where they, they were looking like relegation fodder themselves at some points because they hadn't clicked. This is a very different Southampton side. We'll bring in our Southampton fan in a second and get their view on all things QPR. Let's have a look though at your Christmas fixtures and let's just see where you think things can go well or not. because it's a tough one, isn't it? So you've got Southampton this weekend, then away trip to Millwall, away trip to Ipswich, and then a home game against Cardiff. So how many points are we going to be looking at from these 4 games, do you think?
My heart says 4, and my head probably says they'll do well to get 3.
Right.
I think that Cardiff one is definitely one that they'll target, and I would have thought the Ipswich game he'll probably rotate heavily in that game with one eye on that Cardiff game.
Yeah, the Cardiff game, isn't it? It's that's going to be 3 points, isn't it? And then what? A draw at Millwall?
Maybe a point against Millwall, possibly. Yeah. They're not in great form. Our record there is a little bit mixed with not really. I think under Beale was possibly our first win there in a long, long time. So historically, we don't do well.
So 1 o'clock kickoff on Boxing Day, isn't it? That fixture.
Yeah,
is that under police advice?
I think it's normally 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock, isn't it, on Boxing Day? I think there's
the rest of the 3 o'clock.
Games. Yeah.
So, all right, let's bring in Joe then, our Saints fan. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the QPR view. So yeah, last time you two played each other, it was a 2-1 win to the Saints, but it could have gone either way. What was your view of that game?
I mean, I must say, I thought QPR were the better side in that game. I thought we looked really up against it and just didn't I think we were very lucky with the 2 goals we scored, but I could have really seen QPR getting another couple of goals at the end. If the game had been an extra 15 minutes longer, then yeah, I could easily have seen them nicking 3 points from that game. They were superb, I thought, in the second half especially.
What do you think of the new QPR then? I mean, you won't have seen too much of them, but this is a different side to the Ainsworth side you played before, and they are not as expansive, and he's got them well drilled. Is this going to be a case of attack versus defence again for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think if we continue, because Russell Martin's kind of devised a 4-2-2 diamond shape the last few games. If we stick with that 4-4-2 diamond, I think that our midfield 4 pivot will be the key to that game. And I think that he can really break down QPR's defence and midfield block with our midfield 4. If he goes to a 4-3-3, I think that they'll run through us like nobody's business. I think our midfield 3 is too weak, but with the midfield 4, I think we've got a real chance of breaking down their low block.
Jawad, how do you stop a team like Southampton?
I think the way that he plays, he'll come out and attack. I don't think he'll sit back like probably we would have done under Ainsworth. I think he'll probably go for it. And I think maybe players like Chair and Willock are better when they do have space. Against Plymouth, they sat back so deep. There was no space for them. There was no space for Paul Smith's pace. So I actually think he'll probably think, let's just go and see what happens. And yeah, possibly our better players might get a bit more space than they have done recently.
Okay, let's get some predictions then. Tough one, this one. Jawad, given what you've seen, go off what you've seen in the previous 4 games before the Sheffield Wednesday game. What are you going with?
What I've seen is we'll probably put up a good fight, probably hold them for 60 or 70 minutes, and maybe you can see the goal in the last 15. So I'm going to 2-1 defeat.
Okay. Do it. Joe?
It's a difficult one. I would like to think that we've got enough quality. I say the same thing every week. I'd like to think that we have enough quality to beat teams. But the problem is, I say that, and then we ended up drawing. So I'm going to be cliche. I'm going to think we got enough to beat them, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 Saints win.
Oh my gosh!
Make it easy.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we'll edge it.
All right. I love you 1 week to come on and Joe, so you're going to absolutely batter them. have that conviction.
Well, I said that against Huddersfield, and then we ended up conceding a 87th minute equaliser.
Right. Cheers, fellas. Enjoy the game. We'll catch up with you after the Christmas period. Enjoy. And hope it's a good one, this one.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a nice Christmas period, everyone.
Thank you.